Hey y'all, Katie here with Team EvoAZ at eXp Realty. Thank you so much for listening to our show. We are super excited for this season. As you know, we are based in the Phoenix, Arizona area, but what you may not have known is that we're growing our team nationwide, and we have already started. So if you know of anybody that is looking to buy or sell throughout the country, no matter what state it's in, please contact us. We'd be happy to help. We'd be happy to offer advice. And if you know of anybody that is either getting into the real estate industry or is looking for an awesome change in their career and in their lives, we are also hiring real estate agents across the country. Thanks again and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, it's Katie and
Matt.
And we are back again with season 2, episode 3 of R.E.A.L, R-E.A.L with Matt and Katie. And today we have the amazing, fantastical, beautiful new build ninja, Jen Duncan, or JD.
Yeah, JD is probably more like it.
Yeah, I only know her by JD.
And the crowd goes wild. Right. So welcome, JD. We call you the new build ninja for a really good reason, don't we?
Yes.
Tell our audience just a little bit about why we do that.
So ever since we built our house, actually, I took an extra interest in new builds, and there's actually a lot more to it than most people think. And over time, people saw that, we built the house and they wanted to do the same. So over the last almost 4 years now, I've worked with just about all the builders, maybe 95% of them. So I've gotten to know how they work, some of their quirks, how just everything. So it's been really helpful because there's so much variation in all the new builds.
There truly is. And it's really important to, like you said, understand what their quirks are, understand how they do things, understand what maybe some of the pitfalls are in working with that particular builder versus another one, their different products, how they vary, right, their efficiency, things like that. So there really is a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes to setting expectations with your clients, and every builder kind of marches at their own beat. So
yeah,
totally true.
Talk for hours about it, and people will just have to tell me to shut up.
Yeah, she's definitely passionate, that's for sure. So tell us a little bit about, since you've been really, intensely dealing with new builds over the last couple of years, how have things changed? Because, we're watching trends and things like that. How have things changed in the new build world over the last couple of years, and specifically when the whole COVID thing hit our atmosphere and everything went crazy? So how is it changing?
So in the last few years, a lot of people wanted to build because you could move out a little bit further and get more for your money and stuff like that. And I think in the last few years, more people were working from home too. Because there's been a lot of people moving here that have tech jobs or whatever that they can do from home. So living out a little bit further isn't so bad. But in the last few months, everyone wants a bigger house. If you've been home with everyone, you're just a little snug. So and there's not much inventory as far as resales go right now. So more people are going towards new builds, and they don't have to drive to work anymore. So saving gas, moving out, and just it's been sprawling more.
Right. And that's what we've been noticing as well. And it's really interesting. So in terms of, again, the builders really have the inventory right now because we're very, very low. At our last meeting last week, what were there, 7,200 homes on the market? Yeah. Now this is last week.
Yeah, in Maricopa, yeah.
Right. So things have probably changed and probably even gone down, to be honest, because, I've been watching those trends too. But how have things been going with the new builds in terms of new communities opening? Are there a lot of communities right now?
Oh my God, so many. So I was driving through Queen Creek the other day, and they were just left and right, boom, new neighborhood harvest, this one, that one. And they're just starting up. So that's a good opportunity to get in and build some equity before the community is done. That's one of the things that benefited us with 3 years ago is we got in in the beginning, and by the time they were done selling our model, it was up 50 grand already. So,
Nice.
but there are so many communities, and there's so many like shopping centers popping up, freeways getting extended. So it's not so far anymore, you know, to go further out. But there's
Yeah,
even a lot in town too. Like, have you seen a lot of the communities popping up, like in Chandler, Gilbert, and those areas too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. You were going to say something?
No, I was just, you know, real estate's always had, you know, the three words that they say when you're looking for real estate. What are the most important things?
Location, location,
Right?
location.
And like, I
True.
think the idea behind that has drastically changed, especially with COVID happening, because you, once again, location was all about your life outside of your home. But now I think everyone's kind of cleansed themselves from that social life, and they're realizing, you know, it's important, but not as important as we thought it was. And our home, our shelter, is more important. So now that whole location has really changed, and now we're seeing these outlying areas have a huge allure, have a lot of positive attributes. And
Lots of big, like, master plan communities, lots of builders. The one we were talking about, one builder, their sales were up like 94%. Like,
And that's within a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
wow.
So lots of new neighbors.
Are you seeing as far as like the auctions go, or the lotteries? Yeah. Are you seeing the lotteries at all?
Yeah. Some builders are doing lotteries. Sometimes they don't want to call it that. They call it picking out of a hat. But so some builders, we have to ask them up front, but some of them do a waiting list. So like they'll put you on the list and call you when the lots are open. But some will also do lotteries where like they'll pick out of a hat and then you got to come and bring your earnest money. But some of them make you show up too. So there was one last year where clients were out of town. They were from out of town. And I think it was on my birthday. They were like, "Can you go and stand in line for us?" I'm like, "Yeah, duh. Of course I will." And then we got them.
That's how good she is on her birthday.
Yeah.
And stands in line. That's why she's the ninja.
That's
right. It was kind of nice to get out, you know, but yeah, so some of them do that. Like you have to show up, you know, like Black Friday. So it just depends on the builder.
And it's really the new communities that are doing this, right? The brand new ones, like the ones that are just breaking ground, the lotteries?
No, it's
really,
I mean, yeah, so like in Eastmark, they're doing it.
Kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got to be on top of your game and make sure that you get your ducks in a row, and know what you're getting into too, because it can be nerve-wracking to make a spur of the moment decision, you know, like, oh my God, I need this lot or whatever, I want to secure it, but then you don't know anything about the rest of the process, and that's where you might get stressed out. So it's a good idea to kind of gather it all and go over it together beforehand.
Yeah, so you're not making emotional decisions.
Yeah. So I would hate for someone to get to the design center and like, oh crap, I can't afford what I want, you know?
Right. So it's important to be knowledgeable up front.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And, you know, I can totally see why people wouldn't, especially if now they're working from home and then they're working from home for the foreseeable future. I mean, it used to be that, you know, a couple of years ago, people wanted low maintenance, you know, going for smaller properties, barely any backyards, things like that. Now you find yourself sheltering in place for 6 weeks with your hubby with no backyard and a 2-bedroom. Ouch.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be tougher with kids too, because like, you know, I've had a couple of friends say this, like they have the homes, you know, with the garage in the back and the little side yard, which is totally fine. But with the pool being closed, they're like, oh man, I can't even fit a blow-up pool in my backyard, you know? The pool builders had a huge boom because people were like, well, we can't go to the pool, so we want our own pool, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other thing that's really been coming out too is like everyone's new attraction or reinvigorated attraction to nature. So like they've even said like all the trails, how people are just wanting to go to the outskirts to go hiking. So now I think a lot of them are saying, let's just live by the mountains. Let's live on the outskirts because this is what we do with our free time. It's healthy. So
It's like 15 minutes to get to like from our house to like Coons Bluff and all those places.
Yeah.
You know, what is that area called? Like
Yeah, like down by the
Swirl,
river, the Salt River,
yeah,
and all the. Yeah, yep.
that's super close. Superstitions are close, which is nice. So you can go boating or like out in the lakes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Good
COVID
stuff.
had an effect on the Lamberts this week, as you know.
Yeah.
So we taken a page out of Matt's book, and what he just said, we got a boat. And I don't know if we would have gotten a boat prior to having to spend, 90 days together, day in and day out.
Yeah, you're just looking for activities that are healthy, looking for activities that get you outside, that, this new social distancing, I think it's going to kind of be the new norm for the next few years. So I think everyone's looking to that. We live in Ahwatukee right by the trails, and seeing it firsthand, there's 100% increase
big time
on people that are hiking in these areas, biking in these areas, the time that they show up. It's so, but it's good. I think humanity needs it. So
yeah, there's obviously a lot of great things that came out of it. I mean, specifically for us, we got closer, to be honest. I mean, because there's less hustle and bustle and more lots of staring at each other time. What do you want to do? We are thankful for our backyard, that's for sure. So I can understand that, individuals that are maybe that had downsized or maybe went after the lower maintenance, less property type thing. I can understand how they're maybe going a little bit stir crazy right now. And I know that we have a couple of clients in particular that it was that very thing. And that's why they're in your car looking at new builds.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like downsized and was like, I don't want the pool, there's a community pool. But now they're like, oh, it's a little snug. We need some extra space and want a pool again. So everyone wants a pool.
Yeah.
A bigger house and a pool.
And you can tell just being out on the freeways during rush hour, what's going on. I mean, there's barely any traffic out there as compared to what it used to be. There used to be so much traffic, as you know, like the 101, for instance, south on the 101 during rush hour, crazy, like in the PM, like in the afternoon. Yeah. Totally crazy, bumper to bumper. I'm not getting back to Ahwatukee for hours, right? Yesterday, I was coming home during that time, and it was unbelievable. I made it to Ahwatukee in a half an hour from North Scottsdale.
Dang. No golf balls this time?
No golf balls this time. Although it was the same route that I took when I got the golf ball, so I was all gun shy. I was like,
like phantom golf. That's so crazy.
No, it was so scary.
But yeah, new builds are thriving right now for sure. We've got a lot of people wanting to look at new builds, and a lot of people want like extra space for their parents. So that's like a huge request.
Yeah.
Which will pay off in the long run as the baby boomers grow older too. So investment wise, it's a good option.
Right.
Yeah. And that goes right along with what we were saying about, how COVID's affected things. You look at what social distancing
yeah, that's it.
Social distancing applies, and
that's how I feel about it.
Household. So, if you now have the people most important in your life, like your mother, your father, and stuff like that, living within your household, those social distancings don't apply to them. Yeah, you'd have to be a little bit more cautious if you're out working around, but in the same sense, it's. I think a lot of people are adding a lot of value to that.
I wonder if people don't want their older family members in nursing homes too.
Yeah, huge. Good point. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's I think a lot happening and changing with this, and you said it. So, and what do you think some of the biggest driving factors that you see with your clients that are looking for new builds to make them say, hey, we're really considering a new build versus, a resale?
A good amount of houses that are resales right now are coming up on major updates.
Yeah.
Unless they're older, right? So like, you got 20, 25-year-old roofs, that's a big expense. Old AC units that can't be charged anymore with the old Freon.
Right.
So there's a lot of big ticket stuff where like if you can just go like 20 minutes the other way, like you can get brand new and not have to worry about it, and pick your stuff, which is kind of nice.
That's a huge point. And have you noticed anybody being concerned about germs and bacteria and wanting to have that new build property because nobody else lived there before.
Yeah, for sure. Like people with young kids or like immune compromised or whatever they call that. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and for them, they're probably going to have a more efficient new build. So they're probably going to be able to keep things out of their home that, kind of flies around in the air. But for the resale homes, I know that we have developed a relationship with this super company that does this disinfectant fog. So, I mean, I can understand that people are like, hey, I want new because nobody else lived there before. But on the resale side, there are some products and things coming onto the market that really help with that. And you can fog your whole house.
That's so cool.
Yeah, everything.
I almost want to do that anyway.
Yeah, well, there's also AC Valley has some system that they can attach to your AC unit. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, something that it doesn't filter the air or something.
Yeah.
Well, like infrared, there's like a lot of new infrared technology that they're doing because they know that that's what kills these viruses and stuff. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff. But I think you kind of said it. Everyone has their own little wants and needs and different desires. And it just seems like now new builds are really fitting that, that checkbox for a lot of people.
Well, they're also holding the inventory.
Yeah.
And there's lotteries, but once you get the lottery, it's not like you're fighting in a multiple offer situation. You got a zillion other buyers for that one house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
that's true.
JD, like, what about, like, because I always know that, like, especially up in the area that you're, you do a lot, you live in East Mark, but in the East, Queen Creek area, East Valley areas, it was always about access and like roadways in and traffic. Tell me about like what you've seen, happening in that section of things.
So excited. Like, so, I don't know if when you come out this way, there's the 202 and it has that little dogtail freeway called the 24.
Yeah.
That one, it dumps you off on Ellsworth now, but it's going to cut through to Ironwood.
Whoa. Okay.
Where people in Santan like were a slave to Ironwood or Ellsworth, right? Well,
it was like a bottleneck, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, people wouldn't move out that way because of the traffic. But now that freeway is supposed to start early next year or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Cool. But so it'll connect, but then all the other roads will connect too, like Signal Butte, Chrisman to Queen Creek. So like for us, it'll take us like 10 minutes to get down to the Queen Creek shopping, whereas sometimes with Ellsworth it's like 20. So that's going to help the people that move out there because they have multiple ways to, when they have to start commuting again, it'll be a lot better.
And the other side of it too, like a lot of people, a lot of people when they're moving to areas, they base it around airport access, and everyone looks at Sky Harbor being, you got to be close to the proximity, but they always forget about Williams Gateway, which is right there. And if you read any news on them, they're always talking about expanding, especially with this whole kind of rebuilding of the airlines after COVID. I do believe that they're going to say, hey, let's limit some of our volume being here at Sky Harbor, push it off to Williams, and I think that could be huge for the East Valley.
They said previously that it would be growing for sure, like more carriers and stuff out there. So that would be good. I mean, we don't get the direct flyover that bad, but for convenience sake, to fly out of there would be so much better than driving to Sky Harbor, even though there's no traffic right now, so it's not that bad, but still.
Yeah, it's definitely convenient. And I mean, from Ahwatukee, and I know the 202 has been there for a little while, but since the traffic is being handled over in your area, I can get to your house in like 25 minutes from Ahwatukee.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's not far at all.
So
I guess my last question to you, and maybe more will come up, I don't know, but are the builders, has there been an impact on what they're offering for incentives? What's going on there, and how has that changed since COVID hit?
They still have their incentives, like if you use their lender, you get a certain amount in closing costs, and some of them have better amounts than others. I've only come across one that gives you money towards the design center now. So like when we built this house, they gave us like almost 18,000 for options, which was awesome.
Wow.
But this house also didn't come with anything standard, so it kind of balanced out.
Mhm.
But I think almost all of them do at least some kind of incentive if you use their lender. Now, I would
Mhm.
always compare, like, you know, we love Ryan. You got to look at the fees and the interest rates and stuff like that too, because it might
And
not
Ryan,
even be worth it to take their
right.
incentive.
And Ryan's with Waterstone Mortgage. He's a non-builder affiliated lender,
Right. Yeah.
but somebody that we love very much. So just to give a little bit of background on there, but you're exactly right. And I know that you have a process in which to do that little spreadsheet or whatever it is to make it easy for your buyers to be able to make that decision with the numbers right in front of them.
Yeah, for sure. So, what else? What else you got for new
What do you
build?
think right now? If like someone's, I mean, obviously, if you're not jumping into this, you don't really know what time frames are as far as how long does it take a home to be built. But if someone was kicking it around and thinking, hey, I wanna explore this option, what do you think the time frames are for moving into your house?
Usually, so you can't guarantee because there might be delays, but
Right.
a broad range would be 6 to 10 months.
Okay.
Typical is like 7 to 9
Okay.
months from when you sign the contract. Most builders, they do actually have like up to 2 years to build the home, but obviously they want to get paid, so
Yeah.
they're going to try to go faster. But yeah, generally like 7 to 9 months, depending on the builder.
Interesting. And so, how have contingencies changed with the builders? So, if I have a house to sell, I'm thinking about how am I going to time that? Because I know my house is going to sell really, really quickly, most likely in this current market, but then I've got a 6 to 10 month build. So how do you typically work that with your clients? And some builders won't allow that, right?
No, some of them flat out said no. One recently said yes, but the earnest money would be non-refundable. But they just changed that to no. So
Yeah.
thankfully they can qualify for both houses and either wait to sell or sell and then rent something for a little bit. It's harder if you have a contingency, so you kind of have to beg.
Right. Well, JD knows how to talk to these people, so.
Yeah. But I know we have options to get, even find like an investor offer, something that would allow a rent back. So there's a lot of different options to explore based on what the client needs, The more flexible you can be, the better. And I know a lot of people don't like to move twice, but it's worth it in the end, to get what you want.
And and are you noticing, do the buyers have to choose all of their upgrades right off the bat, or are they allowed to ultimately say, hey, we're really considering moving in, but we're really not sure about the economic times. We'd rather start off on like a base model home, but hey, in the next few months, if we get more confidence, if we feel like there's going to be new income, can we up our upgrades? Can we choose some of the things that we might not have originally said, like upgraded cabinets or granite or such?
If that were an option, we would have changed a few things on our house, to be honest, once I started learning more. No, usually you're going to have to pick either up front or within the first few weeks.
Okay.
So there's different kinds of builders. There's ones that will build just a house that has everything they pick, like they call it a spec home. There's one builder that builds all spec homes. So what you see is what you get, and they don't vary at all between the houses. So everyone gets dark cabinets, certain granite, certain floors. It's kind of like an apartment,
Yeah.
But usually
Right.
they're more budget based because they can offer decent upgrades for less money. There's other ones where you choose right in the sales office. Like they'll have like a package, be like, all right, you want these cabinets and these counters, then you can pick your floors, and that's it. And then usually they offer like decent standards.
Mhm.
But then there's others where you do get to go to the design center and pick everything. So that's where it can be a little overwhelming sometimes when thinking about budget. So it's a good thing to look at the base price of the houses too. So, I mean, I know how they all work. Like I know most of their processes. So if someone tells me they want a new build in and be at this price all in, I could be like, okay, well, this one you're only 10 grand less, so you're going to be way over once you add
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But some of them are like the package deals and stuff. So
That's good to
there's,
know.
like I said, so many variables. Even some, when you go to the design center, they sell stuff in packages. So versus picking everything separate. So
Gotcha.
it's all different. There's
And I
like
think
no
you
one
just
size fits all.
And I think you just highlighted like this, the real importance of having a realtor represent you in a new build. I think a lot of people, potential buyers and such, feel like, oh, I don't need a realtor representative. I can just go right into the office and they're just getting in the way, which is not the truth, because the seller's agent at the offices are representing the seller. They're not representing the buyer. They're not helping them navigate and make these, crucial decisions beforehand. They're all kind of biased towards what the seller wants. And what you just said just says and adds so much value to anyone that is, entering these waters, saying, how can I get the best deal and make sure that I don't make mistakes?
Yeah.
Right. And go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, you don't pay commissions anyway, the builder does, so
Yeah.
it's kind of free to work with us, but the advice is like,
Priceless. It's priceless.
It is.
And Matt doesn't mean any old Joe Schmo agent,
Yeah.
somebody
We're
that
just
actually
gonna sign in and bolt.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, how many times have we run across that? How many times have we sat at the listing table with past clients and they purchased a new build and they were like, oh yeah, we know how real estate agents do new builds. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you had that experience.
Yeah.
That's not the way it's supposed to be.
I actually get offended when people say that, because it gives us a bad, like the ones who put in the extra work. It's actually more work sometimes to work a new build than a resale. Actually, it depends. Obviously, there's so many variables, but like it's a long process and there's a lot of steps.
There are a ton of steps, and there's a ton that I know you hold your clients' hands on when doing. And I know that we've had clients that have built before, like we'll call it before BJ, before Jen, before JD, and then have built with JD after. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is it. We thought we knew what we were doing because we did it before, but we really didn't know what we were doing.
Well, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, like, what's kind of nice. Well, I mean, I guess it's nice for the clients is we don't get paid any extra based on what they upgrade.
Right.
So, like I have no incentive to like tell someone to upgrade everything in the house. Yeah. But I'll definitely go over with them smart upgrades, because you want the house to appraise. And you want to be able to sell it later and not lose money. There's people in my section that spent way more than we did, and when they went to refinance later, they couldn't get the value they wanted.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Kate, you kind of just said it too with Jen on how, like, anyone, you can have a realtor that passed the test and is out there to represent you, but you want a realtor that has specific knowledge of what you're trying to achieve. And that's one of the great things that our team has, is that we have everyone kind of wears a hat that their specialty is. When it comes to new builds, we have the new build ninja here who knows all the products, everything that's going on, the ins and outs of things to be aware of. Then, we have the historic professionals like Kate and Al, Ninja that understand this, because if you're buying that type of product, it's not just a regular home.
It's not.
And that's where experience really comes in. And I think that's kind of where we're tarnished, because there's a lot of realtors out there that don't know anything about new builds. They actually just think, oh, great, this is just going to be super simple, and all I have to do is just sign up and sign some papers. When it's not the truth. It's a highly intricate. You have to be proactive. You have to be engaging. You have to ask questions that you wouldn't think of, because the builders aren't going to tell you. They're looking out for themselves.
I've had marriages almost fall apart at the design center that I saved. Like, they were fighting over doing a standard cabinet versus a white cabinet. And I'm like, well, let's break it down and look at the price difference. Like, are you okay with paying $25 more a month to have a happy wife? Or like when you break it down, like, like $5,000 is about $25 a month. Like, would you rather look at your nice, pretty cabinets or look at some ugly brown ones that you might not like, Like,
Right.
so,
And that's what I love about you, because you have worked with so many new builds that you understand that balance, and you can break it down for them like that. Like, you understand that maybe don't spring for that faucet, because,
right. Yeah, just go to
you can get it for like half the price or whatever, but definitely get your floors done.
Yeah.
Because what's more of a pain in the ass than redoing your floors a year or two down the road when you're like, hey, I got to raise at work and I don't need this shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I want to change this, or painting, things like that. So I really love that about you, because you have enough knowledge and enough experience to bring that to the table for people. And I know it's made a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. And there's such a balance. Like, some people think, oh, I'll just buy the base house. And like, there's one in Eastmark that was like $500,000 in the estates, but they did base everything, and it sat forever when they had to sell.
Yeah.
It's not smart.
Absolutely. Well, JD, it was really nice having you on. It's always so nice to see you. And I'm going to take this away from him now. And I love it. I love your knowledge, your expertise. And so we really appreciate you being on the show today. Everybody, please do us a favor and like, comment, share, download, subscribe at whatever or on whatever platform is your favorite that you love listening to podcasts on. It really helps us out. Give us a 5-star rating, please, because I think we deserve it. Don't you?
I do.
Yeah, we deserve a 5-star rating. And what this really does is it helps us get the real news to the real people, guys. There is so much fake news out there, and so much that just is for us to be worried about and concerned about and worried about. You know what I mean? I said worried twice. So let's get the real news to the real people, shall we?
Yes. There's so much more to know. So just message me or whatever, call me or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you? That's a good segue to the end.
So you'll just have to find it on your own. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So my phone number is 480-707-7554. On Facebook, it's just Jen Duncan. I'm sure there's a picture of me and my kid on the profile, so you'll be able to find me. And email is Jennifer. I don't know who Jennifer is. Jennifer at EvoAZ.com.
Awesome. And then, right, I know we never call you Jennifer. We should have done JD at EvoAZ.com, but that's not what it is. It is Jennifer. So, and you also run speaking of Eastmark, real quick, you run a fantastic page called the Eastmark Experience. There's a bunch of information. I know you post on it regularly, and you post upcoming things in Eastmark and all sorts of things. Yes?
Yeah, I hope that they get back to, I mean, obviously regular events have been affected, but they usually have the most awesome events, like concerts and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll get back to that soon.
Someday. Yeah, Eastmark's a great neighborhood. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.